Okay, so hi, hello, welcome back to another creepypasta story video. Today we're gonna be reading The Rake, but before we get into it, I do want to say a few things. First off, this video is a one take, by the way. If you hear me stumble, mumble, fumble, and mess up my words, I am sorry. I don't have any editing software to really edit my videos, and also this is all streamed live on my twitch.tv channel. Twitch.tv/Janky Johnny, if anyone's interested. I know I go by Janky Johnson, and that's like mainly my main name, but I couldn't get it on here, so this is the best I could do. But yeah, second thing I do want to say is that please consider using code GOONS at gamersubs.gg. It is code GOONS. You get 10% off at discount. And you guys don't know what Gamersubs is. Gamersubs is a energy drink brand where you can buy tubs of, a tub of powder that you can mix with water, and you get a lovely drink. The flavors are actually really good, and I highly recommend Gamer Subs. So if you're interested, the link is down below, alongside all my other links. You also find a Ko-Fi link right here. Sorry, this intro is being really long today, but yeah, if you see ads on my videos, I don't get any money from that. So, feel free to use ad block on my videos until I do get monetization. Then please don't use it after. Yeah, outside that, let's get into it. So, I'm gonna read you guys a little excerpt from the Rake before, because it's like kind of like the intro to it, and then I'll get into the real creepypasta after. So, this is the Rake. As the sun begins to set and the trees huddle together in small dark groups as if shielding themselves against the coming of night, you step quietly and quickly through the carpet of fallen leaves and stray twigs, recognizing and noting as you do every rustle and every snap of a branch created by your own footfalls. You know them so that you can distinguish them from other sounds. The rustling of leaves, the crack of bracken somewhere behind you. You increase your speed, knowing that night is not the only thing drawing closer. The sound increases as your pace and heartbeats quicken. You turn, and into the fading light catch a single glimpse of the hunched, crawling thing that is pursuing you, creeping forward like an animal and yet looking so horribly human. You only caught a single glimpse of it, but then you start to run. One glimpse is enough. Yeah, so that was, the main, kind of like the intro to the story. If you guys don't know what the Rake is, it's, kind of like a pale skinned creature which is hunched and it crawls around and is bald. So, yeah, that's kind of the little thing. But now let's get into what you guys are here for. The creepypasta about the Rake. A sewer slide note. 1964. As I prepare to take my life, I feel that it's necessary to assuage any guilt or pain I have introduced through this act. It is not the fault of anyone other than him. For once I awoke and felt his presence, and once I awoke and saw his form. Once again, I awoke and heard his voice, and looked into his eyes. I cannot sleep without fear of what I may next awake to experience. I cannot ever wake. Goodbye. Found in the same wooden box were 2 empty envelopes addressed to William and Rose, and one loose personal letter with no envelope. Dearest Linny, I have prayed for you. He spoke your name. A journal entry translated from Spanish in 1880. I have experienced the greatest terror. I experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I see his eyes when I close mine. They are hollow, black. They saw me and pierced me. His wet hand, I will not sleep. His voice. And the next is unintelligible text. A mariner's log, 1691. He came to me in my sleep. From the foot of my bed, I felt a sensation. He took everything. We must return to England, and we shall not return here again in request of the Rake. And now, this is from a witness from 2006. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip from Niagara Falls. I'm sorry, I said that horribly. I forgot how to say it, my bad. With my family for the 4th of July. Niagara Falls. There we go. I'm so sorry that took out your immersion. I'll restart, but I knew I could say that word. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip from Niagara Falls. With my family for the 4th of July. We were all very exhausted after a long day of driving, so my husband and I put the kids right to bed and called it a night. At about 4 a.m., I woke up thinking my husband had gotten up to use the restroom. I used the moment to steal back the sheets only to wake him in the process. I apologized and told him that I thought he got out of bed. When he turned to face me, he gasped and pulled his feet up from the end of the bed, so quickly his knee almost knocked me out of the bed. He then grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the dark for half a second, I was able to see what caused the strange reaction. At the foot of the bed, sitting and facing away from us, there is what was appeared to be a naked man or a large, hairless dog of some sort. His body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it had been hit by a car or something. For some reason, I was not instantly frightened by it, but more concerned as to its condition. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption that we were supposed to help him. My husband was peering over his arm and knee tucked into the fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature. In a flurry of motion, the creature scrambled around the side of the bed and then crawled quickly in a flailing sort of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot from my husband's face. The creature was completely silent for about 30 seconds, or probably closer to 5. It just seemed like a while. Just looking at my husband, the creature then placed his hand on his knee and ran into the hallway leading to the kids' room. I screamed and ran for the light switch, planning to stop him before he hurt my children. And when I got to the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it crouching and hunched over about 20 feet away. He turned around and looked directly at me, covered in blood. I flipped the switch on the wall and saw my daughter, Ciara. The creature ran down the stairs while my husband and I rushed to help our daughter. She was very badly injured and spoke only once more in her short life. She said, "He is the Rake." My husband drove his car into a lake that night while rushing our daughter to the hospital. He did not survive. Being in a small town, the news got around pretty quickly. The police were helpful at first, and the local newspaper took a lot of interest as well. However, the story was never published, and the local television news never followed up either. For several months, my son Justin and I stayed in a hotel near my parents' house. After we decided to return home, I began looking for answers myself. I eventually located a man in the next town over who had a similar story. We got in contact and began talking about our experiences. He knew of 2 other people in New York who had seen the creature we now refer to as the Rake. It took the 4 of us about 2 solid years of hunting on the internet and writing letters to come up with a small collection of what we believed to be the accounts of the Rake. None of them gave any details, history, or follow-up. One journal had an entry involving the creature in its first 3 pages, and never mentioned it again. A ship's log explained nothing of the encounter, saying only that they were told to leave by the Rake. That was the last entry in the log. There were, however, many instances where the creature's visit was one of a series of visits with the same person. Multiple people also mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to wonder if the Rake had visited any of us before our last encounter. I set up a digital recorder near my bed and left it running all night, every night for 2 weeks. I would tediously scan through the sounds of me rolling around in my bed each day when I woke up. By the end of the second week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while blurring through the recordings at 8 times the normal speed. This still took almost an hour every day. On the first day of the third week, I thought I heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the Rake. I can't listen to it long enough to even begin to transcribe it. I haven't let anyone listen to it yet, and all I know is that I've heard it before. And now I believe that it spoke when it was sitting in front of my husband. I don't remember hearing anything at the time, but for some reason, the voice on the recorder immediately brings me back to that moment. The thoughts that must have gone through my daughter's head make me very upset. I have not seen the Rake since he ruined my life, but I know that he's been in my room while I slept. I know and fear that one night I'll wake up to see him staring at me. So, that was The Rake, written by Brian Somerville. The Rake is probably my favorite creepypasta, just like design-wise, or it's just like if you see that thing in the middle of the night, honestly, I'll probably just like poop myself and then run away. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed this narration of The Rake. I'm gonna keep you guys here just for a little bit longer, but yeah, all my links are down below. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. It helps out the channel. And yeah, all my links are down below. You also find gamer subs down there, so if you're interested in gamer subs, go check it out. They have a lot of flavors and a lot of cool stuff, so I highly recommend. If you don't want to buy anything, just go check it out. It's pretty cool. And yeah. So I'll keep you guys here just for a little bit longer. You guys can find my links down below. My socials, I don't really tweet that much. If anything, I'm most active on Threads, which is kind of weird. But yeah. So I do want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.